Alright, I'm only hearing us through one thing.
That's because the balance is turned to
There we go.
all the right because the other side is distorted. Remember?
Gotcha.
You can try. Maybe it's not cooperating today.
Yeah, it's lower in my left ear.
Right, well, you can try and see if it's
It's fine.
cooperating.
Whatever, I don't care.
Yes, you do.
Arr.
Your show will go live in like 5 seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, thou shalt hear the word of my mouth and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
And when my ears start hearing what people say, hurry up, find love, 'cause time's ticking away. Well, I'm not being lazy, I'm just waiting still waiting for the right boy, 'cause I only want to listen to your voice. So I'll be listening, always listening to you every day, 'cause I'm a God girl, that's who I be, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. No, I can't deny it, wouldn't even try. I'm your girl in a crazy world. I'm a God girl, that's who I be, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. I can't deny it, wouldn't even try. I'm your girl for the whole wide world to see. Your name in lights, my biggest dream, my all in all, you're all I need. Hand in hand with the master of all creativity, and I won't stop until I know all my Facebook friends and foes look at me and only see one thing. I'm a God girl, that's who I be, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. I can't deny it, wouldn't even try. I'm your girl in a crazy world. God girl, that's who I be, from the top of my head
To
to
do
the
what?
soles
To
of
get
my
on
feet.
screen.
I can't
Why?
deny it, wouldn't even try. I'm yours.
I don't know why.
And I'll always be, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. I
You're
can't
a
deny
God
it,
girl.
wouldn't even try.
No, not a God girl.
For the whole wide world to see.
Alright. Okay, hey everybody.
Howdy, hey.
Okay, hey, welcome everybody to the show. Glad that you're here with us on this special episode where we have no clue what the heck we're going to talk about. And
It's
really,
that special.
it's that special.
It's like hot in here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the sweater off.
Ooh, you're taking your clothes off. That's good to know. Hey, Carrie and Mia and Jeff and whoever else is watching. Hey, I gotta let you know that earlier today we had our guest scheduled, Nani Darwish, who is the author of this book, Wholly Different, Why I Chose Biblical Values over Islamic Values. And we were actually going to have a really good conversation with her about her book, but at the last minute, after I got done promoting everything on social media and emailing everybody on my email list, I get an email from her publicist saying that she can't come. So that's why we don't know what we're going to talk about today, because I didn't actually have any time to really prepare anything new. And you know, her legitimate reason is because her daughter is having surgery, which I feel
Emergency
bad about.
surgery.
Yeah, I feel
So
bad
family
about
emergency.
that. Right. I mean, it's legit, but it does irritate the crap out of me when I promote somebody like this and, work my butt off to promote them all over the world, literally, and at the last minute it gets canceled. So I'm irritated. Just so you know, up front, I am feeling annoyed and frustrated, but not at Nani in particular. I have conflicting feelings. I need therapy, people. I mean, here's the truth. Okay, on the
I
one
know a
hand,
therapist.
on the one hand, I feel really bad for her and her daughter. Obviously, I would be heartless if I didn't, right? But on the other hand, I don't go out of my way to promote an author to the extent that I promoted her prior to doing the show. And I have a ton of other stuff I could have been doing if I had known ahead of time, which I get. I
How
get.
can you know ahead of time?
I know, you can't know ahead of time, but it does irritate me. So that's why we don't know what we're going to talk about, because honestly, I don't have enough time to do show prep for another couple of hours. So there you have it. So Randall, he's going to lead the show today instead. So take it
to
away,
me.
Bareface. Now you have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, well, this is why, the big networks, the CNNs and the ABCs and all those folks, it's a giant staff. So when things like this happen, someone who's supposed to come on at whatever show, or even the Blaze, between 206 and 208, whoever they guess, they can't make it, then they've got something. They've got 8 things, 8 alternatives that they can shove in that spot. And then the producer says, let's go with that one. Go with story D, But when you're just a Stacy, then you can't have all these alternatives.
Well, it's the joy of doing a live show. I mean, it, and look, there's cons and there's pros to doing a live show every day. I mean, the pro is that you do it and you have your audience who loves you. They look forward to seeing you every day because they know they're going to either get you in a good mood, a bad mood, a whatever mood, or whatever.
But they're going to get you.
They're going to get me.
Raw and uncut.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But there is, and I was thinking about this. I was actually thinking, I got Vicky in my head. She's in my head. I hate it. I got to evict the Vicky from my head.
Good.
Because she did a scope the other day about perfectionism and being perfectly imperfect, right? And here, this is a true story. So I'm frustrated because this pushes my buttons, right? It pushes my producer button, which is really, this is like, because those of you on my email list know I don't send out an email every day, right? You guys know that. You know that I don't take the time to write up an email and explain who my guest is and all this other stuff, because frankly, the return on investment right now is low. And I'm like, don't want to waste my time doing it. And I'm not sure if we're actually still connected or not. But anyway, today I go out of my way to write up an email and share with the whole world on my email. There's only 100 people on my email list. So it's not like there's a gazillion, but there are 100 people that want to know what I'm doing, right? So I write the email. I send it. I take the time to write the email and promote Nani Darwish on my show. And then literally, like within 10 minutes of sending that email, I noticed an email from her publicist canceling the interview, which then means I have to either just go, whatever, I don't really care. People, there's only so many people that open my email anyway, who cares? Or the producer part of me says, well, it would be responsible because if somebody actually decides to tune in that doesn't normally tune in because they want to see Nani, then I should let them know. Otherwise, they're going to get mad at me for not telling them. So then I got to waste my time, go back in, write another email, send that out, and hope that whoever it is that was going to tune in to see Nani, who doesn't normally tune in, knows, so that they're not irritated with me because, whatever. So anyway, this whole thing goes on in my head. I tweet it out. I set up stuff on Facebook. I even logged into my other Facebook account that has like 1,500 people in it or whatever. And I normally don't promote my shows over there anymore, but I did today. So, and you know what? I haven't gone in and told them, oops, nope, it's been canceled. And then
rescheduled, actually.
It is actually. It's rescheduled.
So, see, now you've got
I'm not going to tell you the day it's rescheduled either. Because, see, this is the part of me that's like, nope, forget you. I just got done promoting you.
Do you think you're going to curse it if you announce a day? Or?
But no, here's the thing. So I go through all of this, but it goes back to the whole perfectionism thing, though. Am I a perfectionist? Because I get irritated that I work my butt off and you know, and then and this is the thing, right? You got to roll with the punches. And I told her publicist, normally I wouldn't say anything to the publicist because they apologize. Oh, we're sorry for the inconvenience it's caused you. And I wrote her back. I said, you have no idea how much of an inconvenience this is to me, because it is a big, huge, massive inconvenience to me. This isn't just like a little thing. You just canceling the interview like 2 hours before I'm supposed to do a live show. This is a big thing, people. Especially, it is. Anyway, but the professional that I am, you go on with the show regardless. So, I figure we should do the quote of the day. At least that's not messed up. We could still do the quote of the day, which I actually picked specifically for the interview with Nani, because it went really good with the topic. So what we will do is we'll read the quote of the day. All right, so this is the quote of the day, Isaiah 5:20, which says, "Woe to those who call evil good." See how I did evil in that orangish color? It's the closest to evil I could come up with. Oh, anyway, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute darkness. I couldn't use black. I used gray, the darkest gray as I could, just so you know. Who substitute darkness for light, and light was kind of blue because, you know, I couldn't use white because I already used that for good. So anyway, whatever. So who substitute darkness for light and light for darkness, who substitute bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Isaiah 5:20. The reason I picked this scripture today was because in the interview with Nani, we were going to talk about the difference between biblical values versus Islamic values. And I actually have a really cool sheet here. And in fact, I'll show it to you guys who are on live streaming, and you can actually screenshot it. Looks like we're having problems connecting though here too. Naturally. Okay, of course. Anyway, this is the cheat sheet that I got, and this is, I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but this is actually the cheat sheet that gives you the Bible versus the Quran in terms of the differences. So, like, for example, what the Bible teaches versus what the Quran teaches. So, Jesus died for us. That's what the Bible teaches, versus we must die for Allah. What the Bible teaches, life is sacred, versus death is worship. All right, what the Bible teaches, we are all sinners, versus what Islam teaches, they are all sinners. What the Bible teaches, God is the Redeemer, versus Allah being the humiliator. And then judge the sin, which is what the Bible teaches. Judge the sinner, which is what Islam teaches. The Bible teaches the truth will set you free. The Quran teaches lying is an obligation. The Bible teaches Jesus saves us. And the Quran teaches we must save Muhammad's reputation. So, next week we'll be talking about this more with Nani, because she will be coming back next week. But I'm not going to tell you what day until the day of, right before our show starts, to make sure I actually have her on the line before I promote everything again and waste all my time doing that. Just so you know. So, that's it. That's all I got for you.
All right, is it a wrap then?
I don't. You should go ahead and thank our thank our sponsor.
I will do that. Even when we have nothing to say, nothing to talk about, there's...
Well, you know, actually, this is interesting, because Nani actually used to hate Israel. She did. She hated it. She hated Israel. And she was not a friend to Jews at all, because she used to be a Muslim. But now she's a Christian. She loves Israel. In fact, she has a ministry called Arabs for Israel. I think that's what it's called.
Yes, indeed. It is.
Mm-hmm. So, she would like our sponsor.
Yes. This program brought to you in part by Ariel Ministries. You can find them online at ariel.org, ARIEL.org. That's English transliteration of the Hebrew. Ariel. Try to get that resh sound in it, Ariel, which means Lion of God. Anyway, Ariel Ministries, founded, goodness gracious, more than a quarter century ago. Probably, a few decades ago, by Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum. Ariel Ministries is about evangelizing the Jews, helping them to see that Yeshua, Jesus, is the Jewish Messiah, and also very good at discipling Jewish and Gentile believers through their many materials. They have so many resources on their website. Many of them are for free, great free resources to help you grow in your knowledge of the Scriptures, Hebrew Scriptures, and the New Testament as well. But there are also items available for purchase, books, audio, video, resources like that. And anytime and every time you purchase something from them, you can save 20% on your purchases by using the coupon code Bible News. Bible News, appropriate for Bible News Radio. And something you all also may be interested in, and that is every year up in the Adirondack Mountains in New York. What the heck is going on here? All right, there we go. Is Camp Shoshana. This year held from July 8th to August 19th. You don't have to attend every day, but this is a great time to get away from it all and sit under the tutelage of wonderful teachers, scholars in the Scriptures, and I invite you to check that out. Go to ariel.org and look for the image similar to what you see on the screen right now. For those of you just listening, Blog Talk Radio, just remember Camp Shoshana. Look for that and learn more about it. All right. Whoops, that's you.
It is me.
This is us.
'Tis I. 'Tis ah. Huzzah. Huzzah.
I guess we could also mention that.
I do have a news story. I found one worthy of discussing, but go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention that if you've been hearing a lot about essential oils and maybe want to learn more, find out what's available and how they can benefit your life for a variety of things that may trouble you. Anxiety, allergies, health issues.
Uncontrollable anger.
Stuff like that. Is there an oil for that? There probably is.
Lavender would work. Quick,
right.
Take in a deep breath. Okay.
But we're proud to partner with Spark Naturals. You can find them online at sparknaturals.com. High quality essential oils at affordable prices, much more affordable than some of the other brands, but just as good, just as high quality. And you can save 10% off your order, even sale prices, whenever you use the coupon code John316. John316, easy to remember because Jesus saves, and you can save on high quality essential oils at affordable prices at sparknaturals.com using the coupon code John316. Sorry, just kind of.
Sure, it's easy for you to say.
No, it's not easy for me to say.
Actually, they do have a lot of great things going on too. So you might want to check out their oil of the month thing and all this other stuff. All right, so because this is kind of a we don't know what the heck we're going to talk about episode because our plans were changed at the last minute, and I have issues of control and perfectionism apparently, which I was actually thinking about that. I was thinking about what is it that pushes my button. This is this really is a big button for me. This is like the red button. You know how you get programmed when you're a child, and your mom and dad, they program you to do whatever to respond and react certain ways. You know that, right? there's this invisible, little backing here in the back of you that they programmed stuff. And for me, there's some weird program in there that gets mad when I'm inconvenienced. I don't like it, but anyway, I'll build a bridge and get over it. So I do have this article here, which will make some people mad, but whatever. So Charlie Butts wrote this, and that's his really name. It's his real name. Don't be judging his last name. This is over on onenewsnow.com. Do you want me to send it to you, Bareface, and the thingy? Do you care or no?
Let's just
whatever.
Roll with it.
We'll roll with it. Okay. So it's titled, New Hampshire Bill Could Open Church Restrooms to Transgenders. It says here, churches could be impacted by a new transgender bill that is currently before the New Hampshire legislature, and an organization advocating traditional values is rallying citizens to challenge the proposed problematic legislation. Yes, whoever wrote that, Charlie, when he wrote this, he put the words proposed and problematic next to each other. Say it with me, proposed, problematic. Two PRO words together. Just so you know. Okay, anyway, this says here, the New Hampshire General Court, which acts as the state's legislature, is considering a radical bill, also known as HB 478, to add gender self-identify to the state's anti-discrimination law. This means that anyone who says that he is the opposite gender has complete freedom to invade women's facilities. Carolyn McKinney, who serves with Cornerstone Action of New Hampshire, is concerned that this proposed measure will greatly jeopardize the privacy and safety of women and children across the state. This really opens up our women's private spaces to sexual predators and voyeurs and all sorts of people who may use this law to their advantage to gain access to victims, the conservative activist insists. That's a hard word for me to say too, insists. According to McKinney, proponents of the controversial measure do not appear to understand that many men who claim to be transgender are still attracted to women. McKinney argues that the proposal is crafted so that it could require churches to let the potential transgender sexual predators in their women's facilities. It is also contended that the proposed legislation could impact how pastors preach in the sanctuary. We really see that religious liberty is at risk. The safety and privacy of women is at risk. The freedom of business owners and charities and ministries and nonprofit organizations, the pro-family advocate from the Granite State asserted, all these rights are put at risk. Because the General Court could vote on the bill soon, McKinney stresses that it is important for New Hampshire residents to sign a petition that will be presented to the General Court, asking it to defeat the pro-LGBT bill. For those who believe that the adoption of such legislation is highly unlikely, similar situation has evolved to the South in Massachusetts, where churches are suing for the right to be a church without the government forcing it to abide by unbiblical legislation. So that is, again, over on onenewsnow.com, and it's basically saying that this New Hampshire bill could open church restrooms to transgenders, which is nothing new. I mean, this is a worldview conflict between non-discrimination laws versus religious freedom. That's basically the two things that you have warring with each other there. So what do you think?
Well, nothing new under the sun, and but especially, and this isn't a straw man that the traditionalists are putting up.
Traditionalists?
Yeah, I mean, those who want to recognize, well, I should say the biologists, but I didn't want anybody to think that was their profession, like a microbiologist or whatever.
Yeah.
But those naturalists, I guess, the ones who want to recognize and appreciate biological birth, a birth gender, biological gender, instead of, fantasy gender. They're coming from a solid foundation, not just in nature, not just in biology, but check it out. I challenge listeners, viewers to search for the number of times, huge number of times that prior to all this gender nonsense, gender confusion, I should say, that so many men have been arrested, busted, going into women's restroom, dressed in women's clothes, whatever, to shoot video, to put on the web or to sell or just to get their, whatever, just get their fun in. And it's happened lots of time when it's been illegal, for, male voyeurs to go into a women's restroom. And now, if the law gives them a free pass, what are you going to do? Every man, you don't even have to be dressed as a woman. I can say, oh, I identify as a woman. Unless you're going to interview everyone, say, hey, are you going in there to get your jollies? Or are you going in there because you identify as a woman? Then they're going to scream, more discrimination. And you shouldn't be asked, at the restroom door, what your purpose is for going in there. It's a restroom, for goodness sake. You shouldn't have to be. And so it just, sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. Now it just opens up, it legitimizes perversion. Even the the ones that would do it illegally before, now it's like a free pass to.
Yeah, I have another story here I want to read you in a second, but we should say hi to some people in Periscope. I saw you guys come in. There's JoJo and Melanie and who's that? Chaos. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Dorothy and Gina and Sarah and Angie and Mia, David, and there's Elvis. Elvis has left the building. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I feel for transgender individuals.
Oh, yeah.
I actually knew one, when, I've known a couple, but I remember when we went to Anaheim Vineyard. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I was part of was it Living Waters?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Living Waters was and it's actually still going on. It's a program that Andy Comiskey and others, I'm trying to think who else. Anyway, Andy Comiskey, him and a couple other people started it. And it was basically, a program to deal with sexual brokenness and a lot of people who struggle with sexual abuse issues and things like that. And because I was sexually violated as a kid, I was in that group. I decided to go in that group. I met a woman in that group who I didn't know at the time was actually transitioning to become a man. And it was weird because I guess I was just super naive back then because it was like I was like in my early 20s when Randall and I got married. And she had long hair. She's an attractive person, but she had whiskers. And I could never understood that. And then it wasn't until, it had to be, I don't know, 5 or 6 years later, she actually shared with people that she had actually decided that she was going to do the transition surgery.
Didn't.
But she didn't. But she did take hormones and stuff.
Right.
And that, that will definitely help create, stuff. But people like to make jokes about transgender, and I don't like that actually.
No.
Because the whole thing, it's just, it's really sad. When I did a presentation talking about this issue with children, one of the things that I actually, I did a lot of online research. I went and I read a lot of blogs, and I saw a lot of different things that the individual who struggles with that actually put out. And I have to say that, that it's really, really hard. Because if you think about it, this is a person who feels like they're the opposite gender and they're trapped inside the wrong body. All right. So let's say a woman, she thinks she's really a man. So she tries to, she cuts her hair short and she, tries to become a man. But let's say she's still attracted to men because she's really ultimately a woman, right? She's not gay. Transgenders aren't gay. But she, is still attracted to men because she's got a female brain, and all this. And anyway, long story short, let's say she goes through the transition outwardly, looks like a man, kind of sort of acts like a man, but she's attracted to men. So then she gets the label gay because she's attracted to men. And that messes with your head because she's not really gay because she's really a woman, but she thinks she's a man, and that's very confusing. Yeah. And anyway, long story short, I remember reading this blog that was that a transgender person had written, and they were drawing cartoons, just trying to express what they felt about their body. And this was a guy who was transitioning to become a woman, and he had drawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's had.
Anyway, he did some cartoons with with himself with breasts, trying to, figure out who he was. And he was talking about how weird it was actually. And this is the interesting thing. If you actually take the time to go and read the blogs that individuals in the LGBT community write, they're very honest people who, they share their depression, anxiety, and various other things. And this guy who was, it was a guy transitioning to be a woman, actually talked about how horrified he felt after having the surgery. And he made the comment that he thought that it would be a lot like a woman who had a mastectomy and how she had to deal with how she looked after the fact. And anyway, and I thought, that's interesting because, I had a hysterectomy about 7 years ago, I guess, something like that. And I'm walking around with no uterus, people, just so you know. And, I'm laughing about it, not because it's funny, but because, I had this surgery to remove a female part, right? Men don't have uteruses. And I'll tell you something, I was shocked, honestly, at the emotional impact that I went through losing a female body part, losing the part of me that, that would advocate and help facilitate carrying a baby, and so I can only imagine, intentionally doing something to yourself where your body wasn't rejecting the part, like my body. I have endometriosis and some other girl issues, which, I was precancerous. That's why I had to have my uterus removed. And I couldn't carry a kid at all. There was just no chance there. But I can't imagine the craziness or the conflict in your head if you're somebody that feels one way and then you try to get your body to match how you feel, but it's incongruent with the rest of society and the heartache. The transgender community has a way higher suicide rate than lesbians and gays. It's just the fact. We've had on Walt Heyer, who is a man who transitioned. He did the full surgery, bottom and top surgery, to be a woman. He lived as a woman for I think 12 years or something like that, in jobs, employment, and it wasn't until he got into a relationship with some Christians who loved on him and basically, drew him into the church and prayed for him, and he eventually received Christ, became a Christian, and then he transitioned back to a male state. And he's actually very happily married now, has been in the media talking about the truth about what happens with being transgender and stuff. So and we have the archives in our podcast too, so all you gotta do is type in Walt Heyer, Heyer, and you can hear his story. But one of the things that he talks about is he actually talks about the comorbid disorders that accompany the issue that we're dealing with, and those comorbid disorders, or the disorders that are actually that accompany being transgender or gay or lesbian in many cases, is depression and anxiety. And I can tell you the truth that I've not met a homosexual or a lesbian or a transgender in this community that has not dealt with anxiety or depression. Every single one that I've ever personally known, if they're honest, has actually dealt with it. My sister-in-law is an out lesbian, lives in San Francisco. Every time we get together at family gatherings, she has her alcohol with her. She does. And same thing with her partner. Same thing. There's alcohol there because alcohol abuse in the LGBT community is higher than in the heterosexual community. And they would tell you it's because society doesn't accept them. But that's not, I don't think that's ultimately the case. I think society has gone way overboard in giving special rights to a community that has normal rights if they were just to be normal. I'm not trying to be mean, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, so I actually feel for this, but I actually have a good news on this, on another transgender story if you want to hear this, but you can make your comments too.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I concur. You know, I do feel and love the person with that struggle, and it is, I suspect it is a struggle. Can't say I've been there, but like you say, it's conflicting things going on, not just psychologically, but biologically. And I think that the wrong approach is to say, well, let's just affirm this in a way, just affirm the alter ego, and then that'll just make everything okay. I don't think it deals with really what's going on. It's not gonna be the panacea. Oh, if we let you say that you're the opposite gender and we let you behave like you are, and just pretend that that's the way it is, then everybody is going to be happy, especially you, because it's, you know, exactly what you need, but it's not exactly what's needed, because there's more under that. And for those of you who are not going to search through our archives to find our interviews, I think we've had him on a couple of times.
We've had Walt on a number of times.
An easy URL to remember, easy website. One of his websites is sexchangeregret.com. Sexchangeregret.com. I invite you to go over there and read, you know, the reality of those who have gone through the surgical transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting, actually. But you know, I think the struggle that we have is that how do you say this? I think society has. I have a friend's daughter who had that done and then came back to the Lord and regrets it horribly. Yeah, you know what really breaks my heart, Vicki, is that we have when I went to a counseling conference in San Diego a number of years ago. It was called the SESCAL conference. It was actually a conference for therapists, school counselors, to teach them how to make their counseling office in their school a pro-LGBT, right? And anyway, there was a actual panel that I sat in on where they had children come in who were talking about how they wanted to be the other gender. And one of the things that they were actually complaining about was how they couldn't find enough doctors who would actually do the transitional surgery on a child. To which I was sitting back there going, woohoo, yeah. You know, because think about it. This is hormone issue, right? So you begin to mess with a child's hormones before even puberty. Oh my gosh, talk about a nightmare. I know as a perimenopausal woman, I feel like I'm giving you too much info here, but anyway, you know, just going through perimenopause, you know, I have low estrogen, and I remember going to low testosterone, and as your body goes through changes. Anyway, my doctor gave me, quote, hormone testosterone that I should take, and I did, and I didn't like how it made me feel, so I stopped taking it. But my point is, as a child, you know, they're going through puberty, and before puberty, they're giving them the alternate hormone to make them feel different, and it's like, it drives me crazy. Then the other thing that drives me crazy is, well, anyway, at this panel, though, they were lamenting the fact that there wasn't enough doctors who would do the surgery on this kid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know? And what was even horrifying was that the actual parents of the kid were there advocating for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, this is so evil that, you know, why not get the kids some therapy, you know, and help them to deal with whatever it was that, you know, they were dealing with. And of course, I look at the parents and think, well, that's probably the issue right there is the parents. But I'm a hater and a bigot for even thinking that,
Yeah, when a child says, well, I'm going to grow up to be a fireman or whatever, the president will be like, well, maybe not be able to grow out of this. But something as important as, their gender identity to move heaven and earth to make sure that we alter their bodies as much as possible, as much as medically possible. But, we can't change, the DNA in every cell. Doing this stuff before puberty is really hard on the body to, fighting it what it would naturally do. Such monumental life-altering, life-fixing decisions, when children are so young to not only affirm but facilitate it. I think that's irresponsible.
Well, sure, but then you have society though that's telling you you're crazy if you actually are saying this is a would be abusive behavior. It's kind of like that old saying. I'm trying to remember what it is because I'm getting old and trying to remember. That's what it is. The emperor who has no clothes, right? So you basically. You guys know that story, right? Where the emperor, he is naked, and only one little person, a kid, points it out. Oh my gosh, he's naked. He doesn't have any clothes. But everybody else is like going, oh, it's okay. This is so awesome. Look, and you're like going, hello, reality is, and see, this is where I think, and I'm going to get spiritual here, but this is where the devil is so devious and where he's done a great job. The devil has targeted the children because children are naive and easily influenced, and they don't know any better because their brains are not fully developed. They don't have critical thinking skills. And if you don't believe it, I remember my undergraduate is in human development, and I had a lot of child development courses. And if you don't think little children don't see reality correctly, all you got to do is take a bottle that's this tall, a tall, long bottle, versus, let's say, a shorter bottle like this, round, fill it up with the exact same amount of water so that, this bottle will have more, it'll look like more compared to this. And then you ask the kid how much, the bottle that actually has more water. What they're going to do is they're going to tell you, this is, the tall glass has more water, but that's not reality because it's the exact same amount of water. It's all in their perception and their development. They don't get it because they're children, right? And the other thing that's devious, and the devil knows what he's doing, is they actually, they try to convince children in kindergarten and first and second grade that if they don't like somebody of the same sex, that they're wrong, right? They mess it up because look, me and you, when we were children, most of us you're over 40, most of you. When we were kids, you know what? I didn't like looking at guys until I was like 9 or 10 or however old the normal range for girls look at guys, right? It was normal to have a girlfriend because the guys had cooties. Ugh. But now it's opposite. And so they try to convince you that if you don't feel this way, then you're actually gay, which is absolutely ridiculous because normal development for a child is that, girls like girls, we hang out with girls and boys hang out with boys. And then when you hit puberty, lo and behold, voila, all your hormones go crazy and you go, oh my gosh, that guy was cute. And I actually remember the first guy I ever had a crush on. His name was Jay. And anyway, I'm just having a fond memory at the moment. A flashback. No. Anyway, I saw boys as friends as I have older bros and hung out with their friends. Yeah, But today the children are being indoctrinated to think that they're gay or to experiment with gayness, being gay, because of the peer pressure. And I can tell you this as a fact because I was a school therapist for 3 years in California, one of the most liberal states in the nation. And I saw it. I worked with little boys and little girls who had that conflict. And I had to deal with their parents and also pro-gay principal who was annoying as all get out because she didn't understand what the heck was going on. And she had to contend with me as the one living in reality and all that. But Anyway. Okay, so let me read you the story. This is by Maggie Gallagher. If you don't know who Maggie is, she's one of the leading voices out there talking about the LGBT movement. She advocates for traditional marriage, etc. She actually wrote this piece today over on the nationalpulse.com. It's titled Supreme Court Vacates Virginia Transgender Ruling. She writes, in a victory for common sense, the Supreme Court vacated the Fourth Circuit ruling upholding Obama's transgender mandates on public schools. It did so because Obama's guidance letter holding that Title IX's sex discrimination ban requires schools gives transgender teens equal access to the bathroom, shower, sports team, and away game hotel room of their gender choice was withdrawn by Attorney General Jeff Sessions in his first 24 hours in office. The Fourth Circuit had relied on this guidance in its GGV Gloucester County School Board ruling that a transgender teen had the right to access gendered facilities of his or her choice in public schools. The ACLU's argument that other grounds were still available in the Constitution and other court precedents, and that the court should still take this case, was overruled. Yes, the ACLU lost. Anyway, the Supreme Court will not be hearing oral arguments in March as originally planned. Insiders are more powerful than outsiders. President Trump deserves credit for making Jeff Sessions a legal insider. Expect the attacks on Sessions to accelerate to the extent he restores common sense to the law. So that actually is good news, just so you know.
That is good news. I know when I was in junior high, if it had been possible for a guy to go to the girls' locker rooms and showers just by, saying, oh, I feel like a girl, that, heck, most of the guys I know would have done it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They would have played the role for as long as they could just to, get a peek. But
right. Well, and it's interesting because I remember when I was in junior high in 8th grade at Chemawa, that's what I used to always call it, but anyway, Chemawa Middle School. One of the big concerns was, this was way back in the day when everybody had to dress out, we all had to change our clothes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of the concerns was that the girls' gym coach was a lesbian, and that she was always in there when all of us girls were changing. There was huge outcry about it and concern. And a lot of my friends, including me, felt uncomfortable with it because, we didn't know. But that's, it just is interesting how the times have changed. I suppose now you would have an out lesbian and it would be applauded. And if a Christian child didn't want to change in front of that person, they would, get sent to the principal's office and brainwashed into thinking, well, who are you? Blah, blah. Times have changed, not good.
Takes us back to the quote of the day.
Well, yeah, it is. And that's why I said, good is called evil is called good, and if the devil can convince you that something good is evil and something evil is good, then he will. In the 80s, you rarely saw anyone going out on a limb to push laws for LGBT community. Yeah, that's actually true. And I don't think it helped with the big AIDS outbreak either, because there was actually a huge fear after AIDS came into the public awareness, because everybody was freaking out about AIDS and getting it and all that, primarily because, and if you listen to us for a long time, then you already know how I feel about the whole AIDS thing. I believe it was a conspiracy by our government intentionally targeting the homosexual community, which I actually think is really evil. And I actually have the document to prove it. And if anybody wants it, you can email me. I'll dig it out of my thing. But the media will never cover that because they don't want to admit that basically your eugenicists are out there trying to kill black people and homosexuals, and they're doing it through their drug programs and, things like abortion and things like that, which, it's just evil. It's just evil. But the truth is that, the main narrative that's been sold to the main media, the liberal media, is that, AIDS is a gay disease. And yes, it is, primarily because that disease was intentionally targeted toward the gay community in the beginning. Yeah, and Bill Gates is into eugenics. He's one of the biggest ones. The Illuminati and all that is really real, just so you know. By the way, next week, I should tell you, Derek Gilbert from Skywatch TV is going to be our guest on here. In fact, every day you hear his voice. He is the voice of he's our promo voice, at the beginning of the show. That's his voice that you hear. He will be joining me on the 14th to talk about his brand new book, which actually is going to be very interesting. It's talking about the gods of old, like Baal and, all the sex gods of old, and versus God, the real God, one true God, and all that. So it's going to be really good. You guys definitely want to tune in on Tuesday to hear that with Derek. So what else should we talk about? Since this is a topic. Yeah, I'm feeling better now. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I was wondering how many people would actually come in. Because it seems like when we don't have a topic, often more people come in. But I don't know why. Well,
just to see if we're going to, sink or swim kind of thing. Just for the entertainment to see.
I actually do have another topic, though. It's actually a question I can pose to the rest of you. And if you're listening to the Blog Talk Radio archive, you can actually tune in. Or you can email me your response. So over the last couple of days here, I have to tell you that I've done formal, that's the word I'm thinking of, an informal poll on my Facebook page about Spam and Vienna sausage. All right. Now, there's a reason I've been asking these weird questions about canned meat. And the reason is because they're high in fat, right? In order to get more fat in your diet, you got to eat fatty stuff. But they're also really high in salt, which is, there's too much salt in this canned meat. Anyway, but Spam and Vienna sausage have been around for a very long time, like probably way too long. And I've read crazy claims that, one of my friends claimed that her dog got cancer from eating Vienna sausage or whatever, and somebody else claimed it's pig parts and blah, blah, whatever. Anyway, so my question is, and the funny thing is, I just have to tell you this, my friends who actually like Spam and Vienna sausage are poor friends that I had when I was a child. I've known them since we were all kids. And I'm like, I knew she grew up in poverty, just like I did. She ate Vienna sausage. But, anyway, I didn't eat a lot of this stuff. But, okay. So, anyway, here's the thing. So, my question today is, what do you think of pepperoni? That is my next question about meat. What do you think of pepperoni? Do you think pepperoni is actually a good, healthy meat to eat? Or does it fall into the category of Spam and Vienna sausage? Love to hear your answers. Randall, what do you think? Because I know some health food nuts who actually advocate eating pepperoni. So Angie says, love it. Unfortunately, it's unhealthy. Well, see, that's all debatable, right? Okay. So it's debatable, because we've been sold this bill of goods that you shouldn't eat any fat. And, Spam, Vienna sausage, and pepperoni all have lots of fat.
Well,
just so you know,
as we were discussing yesterday, that pepperoni is a style of meat. It's just sausage in general, or hamburger. You can get a bad hamburger. You can get a good hamburger.
Melanie says pepperoni is delicious, so obviously it's bad for you. So is that the criteria? If it tastes good, it's bad for you?
I think that's a poor criteria.
Well, that's Melanie's criteria.
Criterion.
Okay, well.
Poor criterion. But yeah, pepperoni, that's just style. You can get the cheap stuff,
I love avocado. Avocado's not bad for you. I had avocado in my salad today.
You can buy a more expensive pepperoni.
Yeah.
With finer cuts of meat and without the MSG and the corn syrup and stuff like that. So.
Sorry, I'm yawning.
I think it just depends upon what brand that you buy. Whereas Spam is a particular brand, it's a particular thing. I mean, Spam is Spam is Spam is Spam is Spam is Spam, and Vienna sausage, same thing. I don't know what it has to do with Vienna, but the good music comes out of Vienna. So maybe that's what they were trying to just tie into that reputation. But
Okay, so put a 1 if you think pepperoni is good for you, and it's good, healthy meat. And put a 2, I didn't actually. I don't watch TV, so I didn't watch the Super Bowl commercials. And put a 2 if you think pepperoni sucks, and that you would never eat it in a million years. Hi, Ryan. Who besides me knows what pork roll is? I don't know. Well, me either. You should. Yep. Okay. So Mia thinks pepperoni is good. Okay. So 1 if you think pepperoni is good, and a 2 if it sucks and you think it's horrible. Of course, Gina's undecided. So I got 1 vote for 1. I should put 3 for undecided. Okay, got 2 for 1, 1 for undecided. All right, I'm doing a poll here. I'm writing this down. Okay, this is the Congress. Is this the Congress hour? No topic conversation. No, Ryan, my guest canceled at the last minute, and so I didn't know what to talk about. Good isn't tasty or good. If you would eat it, that's the criteria. If you would eat it. So, so now we're talking about pepperoni, if it's a good meat or not. What would Jesus eat? Would Jesus eat pepperoni? Do you think Jesus would eat pepperoni? That is actually, I'm curious if he would, because there's no pork in it, right?
Often there is.
Oh, so there might be a little bit of pork in it, so Jesus probably wouldn't eat it.
Usually it is, so yeah.
Scrapple for everyone. Well, so far nobody's put a 2, which I'm glad by. Mark, I know you're listening to this archive. You and your wife, email me and tell me if you think pepperoni is good or not, whether or not you would eat it. Okay, Mark, because I know you listen to all our shows. I need a Blog Talk listener to weigh in. Okay, to tick off the Pharisees, maybe. Yeah, well, maybe he would. I don't know.
I don't think his earthly ministry was about ticking off the Pharisees.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Jesus naturally just ticked people off just by being himself. Pepperoni is great garnish on a Bloody Mary next to the celery. I've actually never had a Bloody Mary, but I believe you. And Randall's over on the Galileo, is that right? Website. All right, well, okay, well, how much time do we have left?
Not much.
Well, that's the question of the day here, then. All right, I'm going to find out.
No, this stuff, not good. Corn syrup, hydrolyzed pork stock.
That's the thing I don't understand about Spam and Vienna sausage, why they have corn syrup in it.
Make it sweet.
I don't think it makes it sweet because there's under 1 gram of sugar in it. It doesn't taste sweet. It tastes super salty, though. And that's the thing. That's why I don't generally like to eat meat that's like that. Sweetness and binder. Oh, the binder. Yeah, I can see that. Because when I took the Spam out, this was so gross. You gotta you take the can and you're like trying to get it out. You're shaking it, you're hitting the bottom of it, and finally it comes out, and then it's got that slimy stuff on it, right? That's corn syrup, right? So, speaking of food, I should tell you that Wednesday, my dear, precious, sweet, and lovable girlfriend from New Jersey, Dr. Lisa Sulcente, is actually going to be our guest on Wednesday. And she's the founder of myfoodschool.com. You should check that out. And she is outspoken about health and nutrition. And she's actually helped me with my diet and stuff. Anyway, and she's a chiropractor too, so she'll be our guest
90
Wednesday.
seconds.
So I hope that you have an opportunity to tune into that. She'll be on camera. And all that. I will. I'll ask her about Spam. I already know what she's going to say, though, because she commented on my thread on Facebook. She thinks it's evil for the most part. So, just so you know. All right. So, tomorrow on our show, as far as I know, we don't have anybody booked. And which, is good because that means I can
60
actually plan
seconds.
for the show. Hey, John, nice to see you in here. And if you didn't listen to our show, just so you know, my guest she canceled. Nani Darwish, she has her daughter's in surgery, so she canceled at the last minute. But her book, Wholly Different, Why I Chose Biblical Values Over Islamic Values, we'll talk to her next week about it. And we ended up talking about transgenderism and some other stuff. Can I get Dr. James White? I could, but I wouldn't want him on my show, so I'll just leave it at that, just so you know. All right, so be bold, stand up, and go with God, because he loves you.
10 seconds.